Radio Network.
Presented by Rocket Mortgage. Need a mortgage that fits your life? Rocket can.
Live from the O'Reilly Auto Parts studios, here's Jake Asman.
Think O'Reilly Auto Parts for all your car care needs. You get guaranteed low prices and excellent customer service from the professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts. O'Reilly Auto Parts, better prices every day.
Why y'all always do this every day? It's the same.
That was the first comments Deshaun Watson has made to the media since January of 2021, right after the Texans season ended. Deshaun Watson said that at practice on Thursday. It went viral. And since that has occurred, there's now new developments in the latest with the Texans quarterback. So first things first, Deshaun is not in Green Bay with the Texans. That goes without saying, but worth pointing out. Two pieces of news items yesterday. One is a grand jury is being used to investigate whether or not to press criminal charges. And then the other news is two accusers are unhappy with the NFL's treatment. And the question is this: why has the NFL not acted yet? Why has the NFL not placed Deshaun Watson on the commissioner's exempt list, which would be paid leave? The women that spoke with Sports Illustrated are A, not happy with some of the questions they've been asked by the NFL when they met with the NFL's investigative team. And two, they see Deshaun Watson out there at practice, and they're like, how's this guy on the field when we're one of 22 women that have come forth and alleged similar misconduct? And that's what I wonder. The Texans are waiting on the NFL. Sounds like Deshaun Watson's waiting on the NFL. We're all waiting on Roger Goodell and the NFL to do something. The SI story does not paint a good picture of the NFL's investigation. Investigators are asking the women what they were wearing during the massage. Like, that paints a negative image. There's a negative connotation with those type of questions. Lauren Baxley, who's one of the women that spoke with Sports Illustrated, said the overall tone was patronizing and victim blaming. This is a league that is supposed to be about professional football. I don't know if it's a good idea that the NFL has like its own investigative arm. It just doesn't sound right. Optics-wise, it doesn't look good. I don't know if it's a good idea that the NFL has an investigative arm. Like, the NFL should just focus on selling the game of football. And there's a weird dynamic with this Deshaun Watson story. Because us in the media, as sports talk show hosts, obviously acknowledge there's something very serious that's been alleged against the Texans quarterback. But at the same time, we're hearing reports that teams are still interested in trading for him. So it's our job from the sports angle to talk about the teams that are interested in trading for him, his trade value, so on and so forth. So we in the media have not done a great job covering the story. I think I'd be the first to fall on the sword for that one and acknowledge that, but it's tough to not cover it, because if the NFL goes out and says, well, he's good to practice, we're not doing anything yet, then are we supposed to not talk about the fact that he is out there practicing, that he's going through individual drills, that teams are still calling the Texans to see if they'll lower their asking price? Like, I have that as a fact from people close to the situation. Teams are still calling the Texans, and the Texans are saying no because they want a lot for Deshaun Watson, even with the legal situation that he's dealing with. It seems like the NFL wants little to do with this, but they got to do something with it. I think it's a mistake that he's even allowed to practice. I think the NFL should have placed him on the commissioner's exempt list. Why haven't they placed him on the exempt list would be the question, because there's no criminal charges? Okay. There's 22 civil lawsuits. That's not enough? They're all lying? All 22 of these women? And some of these women haven't filed suits, but have alleged the same thing. I mean, doesn't it benefit if the Texans get Watson on the exempt list or he's suspended? There's more clarity in the situation. They don't have to deal with it every day. The Texans tried to close training camp early for the media 2 days ago, but then they found out from the NFL, well, you're not allowed to do that till August 26th. Why did they want to close training camp early? They're probably tired of every reporter asking them about Deshaun Watson, because he's the story right now. The story is not Tyrod Taylor. It's just not. Right? The story is not rookie wide receiver Nico Collins, who's had a nice camp, but he's not the story. So, by the way, when you hear Deshaun Watson being like, why are you guys always filming me? It's the same bleep. You know why, Deshaun. There's about 22 different reasons why the media is still filming you. Mina Kimes, who's an ESPN NFL analyst, was on the Worldwide Leader yesterday, and she says it as well as I think anyone could. Why is Deshaun Watson not on the commissioner's exempt list?
The question as to why Deshaun's not on the commissioner's exempt list, which I think is the real sort of issue at hand right now. It's been posited that perhaps it's because the criminal investigation is still ongoing. But it's important to note that in the past, the league has put players on the exempt list like Josh Brown, the kicker, Kareem Hunt, before charges have been filed. There is precedent for this.
So what am I missing here, right? She points it out. Josh Brown, Kareem Hunt. There is precedent for this. So why hasn't the NFL done anything yet? They need more women to come forward? I don't think Deshaun Watson should be out there. Like Trevor Bauer is not pitching for the Dodgers right now. He's accused of some terrible things. And he's not pitching. He's being paid, but he's not pitching for the Dodgers. I don't understand what the NFL is waiting for. And then the SI story doesn't paint them in a good light either. So what exactly are they waiting for? They're only going to act if there's criminal charges? It just seems like we're waiting for something that maybe doesn't come for a while, and the season's going to start, and I don't think it's fair to the Texans to have to use a roster spot on a guy that's never playing for them ever again. Like, can the Texans put Deshaun on IR if the NFL's not going to step in? And you might say, well, Jake, why don't the Texans just send him home? I understand that point and that perspective. I think the reason why the Texans actually want him out there, though, is they don't want to set a precedent that a guy that wants out can just not show up and they're going to excuse him. Like Deshaun Watson, if he didn't show up, would be fined $50K a day. I know he's got a lot of money, but who wants to lose $50K a day by just not showing up to work? And I've been at all these practices this summer. Deshaun Watson stands there, goes through some individual drills. When they start doing 7-on-7s or 11-on-11 team periods, he's watching on the sideline, goes back in the locker room. He comes out for the remainder of practice. He doesn't do anything. He's moping around. It is the same bleep every day, as he was saying. Still got to cover it, though. Because if they weren't covering it, we wouldn't have that money quote from Mr. Watson. I mean, this whole situation is just, it's weird. And it's not fair to David Culley, who's first-year head coach. Seems like a good dude in a tough spot, as we all know. He shouldn't have to deal with this. This guy takes a head coaching job. He thinks he gets to coach Deshaun Watson, and now he's coaching Tyrod Taylor, Jeff Driscoll, and Davis Mills. It's not fair to David Culley. He's a nice guy. He's paid well, but he's in a tough spot. There's no doubt. But the question is this. Why isn't the NFL not acted? I'll say it again. 3 weeks ago, I wondered why they haven't put him on the exempt list. Avoid the giant training camp distraction. Texans are waiting on the NFL. Everyone is waiting on the NFL. Only criminal charges could trigger this. When Josh Brown and Kareem Hunt didn't have criminal charges and they got placed on the exempt list. Doesn't make sense to me. Doesn't make sense. On Twitter, at Jake Asman, you could tweet me your thoughts and weigh in. B. Hannon writes in, why the NFL hasn't done anything yet is beyond me. PCR writes in on YouTube, this is a disaster. LOL. Shake my head. It is a disaster. There's no other way to say it. It is a disaster. And like, does Cal McNair not have any juice with the NFL? He can't say to Goodell, put this guy in the exempt list, so like we don't have to deal with it. Like, the Texans are going to have to pay him either way. But at least you can get him away and have like the odor of Watson off your hands.
Yeah, maybe go a day without every question being about Watson.
Someone writes in, B. Lewis here, the best and easiest thing you can do is just trade him for what you can get and move on. No, it's not. Because then you're getting nothing for a guy that is eventually going to play again and is worth probably at least 3 first-round picks. You can't just trade him for nothing.
Hi, Tom Bodette for Motel 6, and we'll leave the light on for fur babies.